to take you along as I go thrifting today around Portland. I would love to find maybe 5 to 10 pieces to sell online, and then I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for some summery clothes for myself as well. So I'm excited to go see what I can find. So I did decide to go thrifting at a couple racks on this day. I went to a Goodwill first and then a Value Village after. This is a Trina Turk dress, and this brand kind of rang a bell. I couldn't remember specifics, but I did end up throwing it in my cart and decided to check comps. But when I did check comps on eBay, I noticed that the sold prices were kind of all over the place, so I did end up putting that one back. This is a Free People item, which is really a brand I don't like to pay up at all for, unless it is a really new style, preferably new with tags. So I did pass on that one for the price. But on this day, I was just really happy to be out thrifting, hoping to find some good stuff to sell, but there's something just therapeutic about flipping through clothes. I don't know what it is. ModCloth has done okay for me in the past, and this was the half off color this day. But for me, ModCloth doesn't usually sell for more than $20 or $30. So I would rather pick that brand up somewhere where I'm paying only a couple dollars for my cost of good. That way I can sell it for maybe 20 bucks and still be left with good profit. Some of these brands I do just get curious about as I'm flipping through and decide to look into them a little bit more. And then others I have seen a million times and just quickly flip right past. But if I do pass on anything that you would have picked up, I would really love to hear about that in the comments. I know that I pass on things that other people, probably would pick up or have had good luck with, but some things just don't catch my eye, or I just don't know about the brand or whatever it is. So let me know if anything seems like something that you would grab. I'm also curious if any of you know what this brand is, Wasabi and Mint. It's made in the US, so I thought maybe it was something worth a little bit more, but it did have some stains, so I did pass on that one. Then this Free People dress was really cute, a great boho style, but for $25 I did decide to pass on it to sell online. But now that I'm looking at this footage, I actually wish I would have tried that on for myself, because $25 is certainly a reasonable price to pay for an item for yourself, but not necessarily worth it to flip online. So even though I was on the lookout for stuff for myself this day, if I picked up every cute thing I found, I definitely would just have way too many clothes. So I really do try to keep the mindset of looking for stuff to flip, and then sometimes I do forget to actually pick up stuff for myself too. This is an Eliza J dress, and this is a brand I've really had great luck with in the past. It was priced at $15. I don't always pick it up, just depending on the style, depending on what it looks like sold comps on eBay were, and the sell-through rate, how many have sold versus how many are currently listed. And so yeah, I try to look at the data when I'm out thrifting to determine whether or not an item will sell, in a reasonable time. Let me know in the comments if you thrift, whether you prefer going to racks or going to the bins, whether it's for yourself or to resell. This Wilfred dress, definitely giving an academia kind of a style and aesthetic. I really don't like to pay up at all for Wilfred. I will grab that at the bins for really particular styles that are preferably pretty new, but not usually at the racks. This Free People tag, I have never seen this before, so I think it's pretty old, and it was priced at $13. It had some really cute cutout details, but it also had some stains, so that one was left behind. But please let me know if you've ever seen that tag. Dresses are a category I really like to look at. I'm always hopeful I'll find a good brand or style, but a lot of them are just cheaper materials or brands that retail for a pretty low cost at department stores, so then I will pass on those. But again, those are great categories and sections to flip through if you're shopping for yourself and you don't necessarily care about the brand. This J. Crew crew neck, I'm sure would have done all right. It's priced at $10. It was the half off tag at Goodwill that day. I did end up leaving it, but I don't know. This, easily could have sold for $25 to $30 on Poshmark or eBay. I didn't actually check comps on that crew neck, but I could see that being a pretty saturated style on Poshmark or eBay. These Nike center swoosh sweatshirts, that is a tongue twister, are really cute. But those are something I'll pick up for myself. But, I would probably pick that up at the bins to sell online too. I already have two, so I think I'm good. But for $13, probably not. I think that would probably sell in the $20 to $25 range. This kind of piqued my interest. It was Adidas. Nothing really urged me to look into it further. It seemed like a more recent style. and nothing too exciting. Lots of brands that are pretty good and I might pick up if I were a high volume seller, but I'm really looking for specific things when I'm out thrifting. This is a really nice cashmere pullover quarter zip. Didn't know the brand, but I did decide to leave this one behind. But it was in good condition, and cashmere can do very well. Something I would probably have been more likely to look into more in the fall or winter. Although people will start shopping for fall sooner than we think here. It's already July, and I really think by end of July, early August, some people, not quite me, but some people out there are shopping for fall. So that's when I'll really start picking up for those seasons. And while I will not pass on something spectacular on the off season, I don't typically pick up a ton of items that aren't currently or about to be in season. Every time I go through the crew neck and sweatshirts aisle at the thrift store, brings up this memory of finding my first Aviator Nation at a thrift store in Massachusetts a few years back, and now I just always have that memory of like finding something really good amongst a bunch of stuff that isn't that great. This We The Free sweatshirt, I probably would have grabbed this at the bins again, but decided to leave that one. Alright, now I did take a quick peek at the shoes aisle. I prefer not to sell very many shoes. It just takes up a lot of room. I don't like to store them. So I usually won't grab many shoes unless they're really good. But this was a pair of Jeffrey Campbell boots that I thought were really cute. And they had a nice chunky heel. They were priced at $15. I think that was the half off tag. But ultimately they were a little too scuffed up. Did put them back, and the comps weren't amazing. If they were in excellent condition, they would have been worth it, but I decided to leave them just based on the condition and not being certain enough how they would really sell, how much they would sell for it, and how quickly. These are a really cute pair of pointed toe little mules, but I left those. I feel like animal print really had a moment. I don't know if it's still having a moment, but for a minute there, they sure were. These really caught my eye. They were really nice, pretty sophisticated workwear, polished, minimalist maybe kind of style, but they were priced at $15 for Talbots. I didn't really know how much those would actually sell for, how they would really do, but they were in excellent condition. Then I did head over to the bag section. Again, sometimes I get lucky and find something really good. I've found some really good Coach bags over the years, Tory Burch bags, and I actually found this Portland leather bag probably like at least 6 months ago now that sold very well, and that is a good brand to know that you might find, especially here in the Pacific Northwest area. But yeah, I always like to take a quick peek. I won't check every bag, but I'll usually just go through the ones that really catch my attention, or if I see something that looks familiar, like features that a Dooney and Burke would have or something like that, then I usually will investigate a little bit and just, see if it's actually anything good. This kind of was giving Kate Spade a little bit, but it ended up not being anything worth picking up. Took a little peek at the wallets. Franco Sarto, I've sold at least 1 or 2 items by this brand before, but this I kind of thought was a Dooney & Burke. It was not. It was St. John's Bay, but it had that pebbled leather similar look. This was a Fossil wallet, which this brand actually can do very well, so it's a good brand to know. I've had good luck with their some of their leather bags or a toiletry kit, things like that. Didn't end up grabbing this, but I don't know, that could have been a bins pickup. Also looked over at the hats. I did find this Outdoor Research hat. This is another brand that I really do like to sell a lot. Could have grabbed this. I didn't necessarily want to pay $8. Probably would sell for like 20 bucks as it should, but I decided to leave it. Also, I do want to say, if you are a newer reseller, sometimes when I talk about profit, I realize like buying something for $8, it's selling for $20 might sound like a good profit in the end there. And maybe to some people that is, but when you sell on the platform, you obviously have to pay for the seller fee, which on Poshmark is 20%. So really I'm looking at, if it sells it for $20, I'm looking at $16. Paying $8 for it would double my money, assuming I didn't have any extra shipping costs or anything like that. But I think so many items that I've gotten from the bins only cost $1 to $3, and I am fortunate enough to have multiple bins locations pretty close to me, so I would prefer just paying a couple dollars and selling it for $20 than paying $8 and selling it for $20, if that makes sense. So these are the couple items that I actually did end up getting. This first one is a pair of high loose shorts. They're size 25, but they are a Levi's and Pokemon collaboration. So super unique, great pair of shorts for the summer. And I feel like it's just an overall good style. I paid $10 for them. I don't know how big of a profit that'll actually leave me with, but I just decided to go for it. Then this is a brand I really hate to pass on ever. So it is Smartwool. It's a size large. It's a women's pullover quarter zip. Very out of season, but it's a brand I really like to pick up. Then I did head over to Value Village, which is like Savers' little cousin, or maybe older cousin, I don't know, definitely a cousin of Savers, which is my all-time favorite thrift store, and the thing I miss most about the East Coast other than the bagel sandwiches. But Value Village and Savers are owned by the same company, so it's a very close second. But the nice thing about Savers and Value Village is if you donate, then they give you a 20% off coupon for up to, I think, $100 at their thrift stores. So if I bring something or a bag of things to donate, then I get 20% off. And then every one of these tags that I flip through, I just kind of have in mind that it would be 20% off that price, which is always really great. This was a very old Abercrombie & Fitch tag, and I'm just so confused about this because it doesn't actually seem like an Abercrombie & Fitch item. So let me know if you know what that tag was about. This blazer jacket kind of caught my attention because it said made in Italy. Called Plaza Sempione. I did decide to use some of my key indicators to decide whether or not to look into this more. So saw that it was made in Italy, and then I did check the care tag, and it said it was mostly wool. I felt like the style was just a little bit outdated on this, and it probably would take a while to sell, and I just really don't like to store bigger, bulkier items like that I don't have prior experience with or don't feel like will sell very quickly for one reason or another. So decided to pass on it, but that's just a good example of what I'll do if something piques my interest as far as something that seems like it might be of higher quality, whether it's the fabric, where it's made, the style, if it's a really recent style, a very unique aspect, print, detail. So that is kind of my mindset. This ended up being a pair of Lululemon leggings. They were priced just a little bit higher than I like to pay, and not necessarily the best style. Then I did find another pair of Lululemon leggings for a more reasonable cost of good. They did have a little bit of wear, a couple thread pulls, but still worth it to grab. Then these are a couple items that I actually grabbed and then passed on. This was a Patagonia pullover. It was made in the US, and this one was $14.99. I just don't like to pay up much for Patagonia. Then this was another blazer jacket that kind of piqued my interest. It was made in the US. And this one was actually a little bit of a better style, a longer line, maybe a little oversized. When I looked up the comparable sold listings for this, the brand didn't seem like it was selling for that much. Then I did get these Lululemon leggings, the ones that were priced at like $5 something. And here I am in the toy aisle because I like to just tuck off to the side if I'm filming. This was a really cute pair of Show Me Your Moo Moo pants. They have a paisley print, they're high-rise, pull-on, flare leg, bell bottom, really cute and pretty unique. I don't think I've ever found Show Me Your Moo Moo pants before, so that was kind of cool. They were priced at $7.29. And I think these will actually be a pretty good sale. And this is a brand I, for some reason, only find at the racks, never at the bins, and it is Rhone. This is a really great men's brand that I love to find. I actually found two pairs of shorts. One was priced up a bit more than the other, but I did decide to grab both of them. And especially with my 20% off, that was not a bad price. This pair actually only had the R, but with those 3 X's below the R, and it kind of made me think it might be Rhone, so I did end up checking the interior care tag where it said Rhone. This is a pair of Gymshark leggings. This is a brand I really have good luck selling. It doesn't sell for a lot. I usually will flip it around 20 to 25, but it is a pretty consistent seller. Then this is a Tory Sport, which is Tory Burch's athletic line. This I did pick up, it had a built-in bra, and this one actually already sold in a bundle, so that was a really great quick sale. Then for myself, I actually ended up getting this pair of pull-on pants. They're kind of a jogger style. Don't know what the brand is, but thought they would be a nice, just kind of like comfortable loungewear or athletic wear. sort of pants, and then I did get 2 tank tops with built-in bras for myself that I thought were really cute. One was Athleta and the other was Old Navy Active, so happy to have those for the summertime. That's it for today's video. I need to run into the grocery store and then get out and enjoy the sunshine because it's a gorgeous day. But thank you for thrifting with me. I was really satisfied getting a few items for myself and then I think 8 to sell online, so I would call that a success. But thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.